So you may have seen that we've recently released our brand new Mountainboard deck, the LTD. Today we're going to do a little bit of a comparison against the normal Mountainboard deck that we sell, tell you a few of the differences and what makes the LTD so special.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 2.
So this is the LTD deck. We'll talk a little bit about the construction side of things. It's a wood core deck, so we've got two different types of wood in there. We've got Canadian maple and we have poplar. We had the option of having ABS sidewalls and inserts, which would have been great because it completely waterproofs the deck. But to have all of that as well as these premium woods inside would have raised the cost of the deck to the point where we didn't want to sell it for that much. It makes it unattainable for a lot of people. So we thought we would concentrate on having more premium materials inside the deck rather than all the bells and whistles. But we still countersink all of the bolt holes, which keeps it nice and waterproof. And we'll give you the option of having it drilled for Trampa hardware or our other hardware, other companies' decks. Obviously, Trampa hardware has 2 extra holes, which you put your barrels or your springs in. And yeah, if you don't have Trampa hardware, you don't need those. So you can select that and we won't drill that for you. So that keeps it as waterproof as possible. Right, to go into the shape of the board a little bit, you can see it's still got those nice Trampa ends on it, but the biggest difference you'll see is how wide the foot pads are now. So they're around 11 inches in width at the widest point. And the idea of this came from our pro rider, James Wanklin, who comes from a mountainboarding / longboarding background. What he said to us was that where the longboards are so wide, you get so much more responsiveness from turns and slides on the longboard than you do from something that's skinnier with your toes and your feet hanging off. So that was the idea that gave us, you know, I'm just size 8 foot and my whole foot is on the deck. So to have as little of your toes and heels hanging off is better, makes it more responsive, makes it a lot easier to ride. We've also added underfoot concave, which that kind of came from me coming from like a skateboarding background. I think a lot of people, when they first buy a skateboard, we call them banana boards. They're the real cheap shit skateboards that you get from your local supermarket when you first begin. And it's got no concave on it at all. It's just a flat board and then the two rises up on the tail and the nose. But when you get into a more expensive skateboard, you can feel the concave under your feet a lot more, which obviously helps flip the board and helps control with a skateboard. But some skateboards, for me, I've rode a lot of different skateboard decks. Some have a little bit too much concave under your feet and it can feel slightly uncomfortable, which then affects the way that you ride the board. So what we've done is we've got a mellow concave going all the way out to the edge of the board that starts not quite in the middle of the deck, so you still have some flatness underneath your feet, but we didn't want it to like really sharply come out to concave. So it's nice and mellow and then it comes out to a really good angle. So you can still feel it nicely underneath your feet. You can feel the control and your feet sit nicely in those concave grooves as well. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on the camera, but as the deck comes inside and becomes thinner again, just in this middle section, we've given it a little bit of camber. 2 reasons. 1, it makes the board more poppy, and 2, it's nice, it can hold you in for board slides a little bit more. I'm used to skateboarding. If you get onto a board slide wrong, you've got no camber in the board, so the board just slips off to one side or the other. So this will do a lot in terms of helping you stay sticked on in those board slides when you lock them in properly. And also a major difference in this deck is how stiff it is compared to the normal Trampa decks. I wanted it really stiff. There's still some flex in it and I'm not the heaviest of all riders, so a much heavier rider like Ash, one of our pro riders, he gets a little bit more flex in the deck than us, but a nice stiff deck really helps, especially with board across, and you know, it helps a lot of pop as well on trick cycles. So we're really happy with how this turned out. We also wanted to make this light, but not too light, because for me, I always feel if something's too light, it's hard to manipulate what you're doing with it under your feet. If you can't feel something under your feet, it's hard to manipulate it. But at the same time, if it's too heavy, it also makes it hard to manipulate because you're trying to manipulate something so heavy under your feet. So I really tried to find something in the middle that wasn't too light, wasn't too heavy, and I think we found a really good balance with the weight of the deck. So to compare it to our original deck, this is a 969 Trampa. This is what we use on our electric boards, tried and tested, and it's absolutely bulletproof. You can have no complaints about it. Personally, don't think they make the best mountain boards, but for electric mountain boards, I think it's the perfect deck. It's maybe a little bit heavy, but you know that it's not going to break on you. It's extremely strong. It's made from like a carbon and Kevlar weave. We've dropped them off cliffs, wrapped them around tractor tires, and they just spring back into position. Yeah, they're just solid. They've got a little bit of flex in them, so that, well, a lot more flex than the LTD has. So when you're riding like on uneven terrain, we don't have suspension on mountain boards, so you know the deck sucks up a lot of that and kind of acts as suspension in a way. We've not made an electric board out of an LTD yet, but we will. We just need to figure a few things out, mostly just cable routing, probably print some foot pads with tunnels underneath, very similar to the wings that go onto our normal board. And yeah, we'll see how that goes, and we'll make a little video and we'll show you how that works out. The LTD though, in a nutshell, is a performance-based deck. It was designed for our pro team with all of their input, and it's basically designed to be able to do freestyle, downhill, and board across, and to really excel in all of those areas. And to be honest, talking to all of the pro team, we've done our promo on it, we've done all kinds of riding on it. I've been testing the prototype over the last year, and I couldn't be happier with it.
1, 2, 3.